on TikTok, and we're waiting on YouTube, but we should be live on YouTube. Yes, we're live on YouTube now. Okay, perfect. Got the multi-guest thing open. Let me turn on the calls. This will not be the longest stream, but we can go for about an hour and a half. I'm just finishing up setting everything up here. Chats are apparent. This is up, that's up. I make sure this is in a way that is easy to see and easy to reach. Hello, AJ Monty. Thank you for coming on so fast. We should hopefully make some good clips today. It's a good stream. Opening up the Google Voice now, folks. If you disagree with the prompt above my head, you can either call in on Google Voice in the phone number above my head, or you can send in guest requests through TikTok. Either way, I want to have that debate. I want to have the discussion. This is the free marketplace of idea people talk about. Ideas. AJ Monty says quality content. Thank you. But folks, if you disagree with the prompt, let me hear you. Let's have a conversation. Let's have a debate. Hopefully, we have a little less interruptions. Frankly, last time I streamed, there was a lady that would not shut up. And that's kind of a common occurrence with a lot of these streams, is people that really are physically incapable of shutting up. So I will be kicking out people who are incapable of having a conversation, because that's not really fun for the viewing experience, I would say. Just Mike says he wants you to talk long enough so he can get a check. Let's be clear. Let's be honest. Just Mike, what are you talking about? Get a check from who? What's your conspiracy about me getting a check? This person says, Julian says, glad Trump won. I disagree. But we can have a conversation about why you're glad and why I'm not glad. We could give our reasons, for which I have many. Zachary, I'm assuming, is white. But that's just a theory. But folks, if you think that Donald Trump is looking out for workers, if you think he's looking out for you and your family, I would like you to defend that. I would like you to give me a reason. Maybe you can change my mind. This person says, bet is sounds like every other conversation, Steven says. I don't know what you mean. Toby says, no crime, no time. I don't know, and he's spamming that. Don't know what he's exactly referring to, but if you want to come on and elaborate, then sure. Alright, folks, I mean, if you think that Donald Trump is looking out for regular workers, if you think that his policies are good for regular people, I want to know which policies, because I can't quite list a policy that he's promised to do that's going to help out regular people. Steven says, if means you echo the same worn-out talking point, nothing new. I mean, Steven, we can have a conversation. You didn't call in, you didn't come on the stream, and we didn't have a conversation, and you're saying, oh, we're just echoing the talking points. Folks, let's have an argument. Katie says, these keyboard warriors, Lamau, exactly. They love typing, which is fine to type in chats. Courage, engagement is good, but I want to have actual conversations. I want to speak with Maga. Now, it's my perception that Maga is a bit of afraid of debate, but hopefully you can prove me wrong. All right, somebody's calling in. Max, your credit. What's on your mind?
Hello, thanks for letting me on.
Yep, of course.
You got any question for me, or would you like me to start?
Yeah, you can go ahead and start. What's on your mind?
I don't have any argument against you because, I don't want to argue you. I want to be your friends.
Okay. So do you have the perspective
I'll
that...
follow you, you follow me back.
Oh, I don't really follow back people, but... All right. If you got nothing to really add, though, then we'll move on.
Can we be...
All right. Folks, if you think that Donald Trump is looking out for regular workers, call in. Let's have a conversation. Darren says in all caps, conspiracy theorist. Michael says, snowflakes, stop the hate and divide and enjoy the safety and prosperity to bring all Trump. You sound like you're in a cult, Michael. I mean, like, you are looking at someone that disagrees with you, that wants to have a conversation with the other side, and you're saying, oh my gosh, Just enjoy. Just be happy. Just praise Trump. Praise him. I'm not in a cult. I'm a Christian. Trump's not my God. Maybe he's yours, but not mine. Tyler says hi in YouTube chat. Hello, Tyler. Pixie says, oh, but if it were Democrats, it'd be a big tent party. You're so full of it, dude. What exactly are you talking about? You understand that I can criticize Democrats as well. Criticize Democrats, criticize Republicans, praise Democrats, praise Republicans when they do things right, and criticize them both when they're wrong. Katie says, these keyboard warriors, all they know is to type. I 100% agree. These guys are just typing. Y'all can come on and have your voices be heard and engage with the other side in conversation. That's not bad. Democrats used to be what they call a Big Ten party, that everyone is allowed in every race. Well, my understanding is they still are. If you go to a Democratic Party event, literally inter-party stuff, it's full of people of different races. I mean, you look at the RNC, it's a very white event. Very white event. Alright. The boys in YouTube chat says, do you like Trump? I do not like Trump. Pixie says, now they want to politicize all race and gender through DEI. Pixie, the only person, or the only group that brings up DEI is Republicans. It's the same reason they brought up critical race theory. It's the same reason they bring up whatever culture war issue, because they like to divide. They don't like to talk about policy. Particularly, they don't like to talk about economics. And you guys are focused on the culture war. Katie, I agree with what you're saying here. If Trump is your daddy, then join the live and prove it. Project Photos. Oh, Z Corp Alpha says something interesting. For those that say MAGA isn't a cult, she says Trump is, or they say MAGA. No, Trump is awesome. Trump is Lord. Trump 2028. Well, first of all, Trump can't run again in 2028 unless you're talking about Don Jr. Unless you want to violate the Constitution. But, yeah. Project Photos says, here's a fact. Look at all the Democrats and tell me they don't look the same. Weird and freaky. Well, I mean, if you put me next to someone like Dean or something, I think I look pretty different than a white boy with Timothy Chalamet cheekbones, you know? Hunter says, Ron DeSantis 2028. I don't know if Ron DeSantis could win a Republican primary, Hunter, but I wish you the best if you're part of that Ron DeSantis campaign. All right, let's see what Pixie is ranting about. Biden lied about health. Kamala lied about Biden's health. How can you literally not see that the world was literally burning down around Bizonet? What is Bizonet? Katie, or not Katie, Pixie, if you have an argument, you can come in to the stream and have a conversation. Z-Corp Alpha in YouTube chat says, Democrats have a terrible party. You just, Z-Corp, you just called Donald Trump your lord, okay? I don't think you can really give serious political commentary when you're looking at a politician and be like, oh my gosh, this is the second coming, this is the second coming. Pixie says, I don't like to type, I talk into it. Oh, you're one of those people, I guess. Well, you don't have to type. You can even get rid of the struggle of having to send messages in a limited format. You could just call in. Trump is a human being. We all know that we don't treat him like a god like your party does. Pixie, I'm talking to somebody in YouTube chat that called Trump Lord. I don't view any politician as the Lord. I'm a Christian. You call in. Y'all don't have to type. Since you don't like typing, Pixie, you can call in and we can have a regular conversation. Simple as that. Toby is doing what Tim Walz called what MAGA is. They're weird, saying that this Katie person wants to be millennial. That's a very bizarre criticism. I don't even know exactly what it means. I think instead of actually engaging in debate and discourse and actually having a policy discussion, Republicans tend to do this thing where they're like, oh, actually, you guys love Trump. You guys definitely love Trump. You guys love Trump. I swear you guys love Trump because it's impossible for people to have different ideas than me. Come on. This person, Z-Corp, I don't know if you're a child or something because you kind of type like a child, but you say, thought you Democrats were all atheists. Maybe when you age, you learn about how the real world works. I think you need to age so you don't look at politicians as your lord. I'm a Christian. Hunter says, do you think Kamala was a better fit? Yes, I think her policies were better. There was studies that when the people would look at a list of policies without knowing the politicians, like 80% or so liked Kamala's policies more than Donald Trump. But then a lot of them, when given the names, are you leaning towards Trump? Are you leaning towards Kamala? It was more split in between. You know what I mean? But yes, her policies were better. Project Photos, I think meant to say dudes, but he says, Deuce is bad. He can't get hot chicks and resorts to gay book stories. Z-Corp says, why treat AOC with disrespect? I don't treat AOC with disrespect. I'm a fan of her. Mike says, nobody likes Kamala's policies, like high inflation. Yeah, Kamala's policies in the website literally said, we want high inflation. Please, thank you for proving your intelligence. Folks, if you actually have an argument, and I understand that MAGA struggles to argue and to have a conversation, call in. There's a phone number above my head, or you can send in a guest request if you're watching on TikTok. Call in. Let's have a conversation. You know, it's interesting. This person says, read about Clinton, Nathan, as if I'm a Clinton fan. And this person says in YouTube chat, Governor Gavin Newsom in California career is over. Guys, I don't think you understand that in the Democratic Party, it's not like the Republican Party where there's a cult around MAGA where you have to love Donald Trump. I actually dislike a lot of Democratic politicians, from Gavin Newsom to Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton and so on and so forth. There's nuance, there's complexities, there's real conversations to be had with people that disagree with you. That isn't just strawmanning them and making them a caricature. Frank says, all I see the left do is regurgitate everything they see on here and not do any research. Well, Frank, call in and let's see if I did no research, or maybe I did. Maybe I did. You know, you can't really know that until you have a conversation with me. Katie May, thank you for the follow. Katie, if you want to support me on YouTube as well, which, especially with TikTok potentially going away, YouTube is where it's at. I think I hopefully put a link on this TikTok account. Otherwise, the YouTube channel is TheNathanGalang on YouTube. The streams tend to be a lot bigger there. A lot more traction happens on YouTube. But folks, MAGA is not sending any arguments. It's unfortunate. Where are the arguments? Where's the points? Where is the reason? You know, I remember at some point, there was a time where Republicans like to pretend to, you know, like Ben Shapiro and all that stuff, they pretend to be like, well, we're the facts and logic, and actually the only way you can be rational and logical is to share my opinion, blah, 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 blah. But it feels as though in recent years that the Republican Party has sort of dropped the facts and logic, the reason side of things, and it's just, you're either with us or against us. You're either with Trump or against Trump. Though, to be fair, I shouldn't really give the Republican Party much credit for, quote-unquote, being reasonable and logical, because it's the same Republican Party that got us into Iraq and killed 1 million Iraqis. Not great, frankly. Not good. This person, Hunter, I guess, is trying to do birtherism with Kamala Harris, because she says, graduated high school in Canada. She was in Montreal, transferred to Howard University. My understanding is she lived in California. But also, Kamala Harris is not going to be president. We can actually have a conversation about the person going to be president, you know? Republicans just don't talk about things. We get things done. We don't waste our time with the woke. Well, Patrick, I mean, you guys bring up woke more than anybody. You guys bring up DEI or critical race theory or whatever culture war bullshit more than anybody. You guys don't talk about economics. You guys don't talk about actual policies to help people. You don't. And if you do, you can call in and we can have a conversation about those policies, because I want to know. I want to see what you guys are seeing, and maybe you guys can change my mind, right? But unfortunately, I don't think that you guys are really going to be able to do that. Shockley says, Trump is a better candidate than Harris. Luckily, the election is not happening anymore, and we can actually debate the merits of Donald Trump's policies. And also, I disagree with that in general. I think Kamala was better than Trump. Is this really the best Maga got? No debate, no argument. Y'all lost any fight that you guys previously had. It's unfortunate. If you're on YouTube, which the YouTube stream is a little bigger right now, you can call in to the number above my head and we can have a proper conversation about why you believe in what you believe in. RDXH says, half the country says you're wrong. Over half the country. Well, I encourage you to go to Wikipedia, see the turnout, and tell me what's the popular vote for Donald Trump. Because it's not over half the country. I can tell you that. Just look up 2024 elections. Patrick says, we don't need to fight. We can just sit back and watch our leaders work across the aisle for America. Well, if you think that Donald Trump is a bipartisan leader, I think you're wrong. RDSHX, whatever your name is, says 50%. No, it's not 50%. You made a claim over half. 50% would be half, and even then he didn't get 50%. Folks, do you guys have a perspective? Do you guys have an argument? This person says, you take calls from Canada. Yeah, I take calls from Canada. I take calls from anywhere in the world. So if you're in Canada, you can call. I love people like Adam here. He's like, you have 5 fans. No one's watching you. I have a YouTube channel too. I'm multi-streaming. YouTube streams a little bigger. YouTube tends to do a little better than me. TikTok's not even my priority. And yes, as Katie says, you're in the chat. Patrick says, just look at the map. We will never get 50% because the big city handouts the U.S. are... No, it's not. It's not impossible for Republicans to get 50%. Are you serious? You think Republicans can never win 50%. I think you're putting your expectations too low. George W. Bush got over 50%, my understanding, in 2004. So, I mean, you guys can too. 949 area code. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I was just curious. You wanna fight with some Trump supporters? I want to know what you want to fight about exactly. The election's kind of over here. I'd rather do the getting the country together thing, but you're still upset.
I mean, politics.
So what do you want to fight about?
You don't have to project upsetness, but politics lasts beyond election seasons. Politics is between the midterms and the general election, and between the midterms and the next general election. Politics doesn't go to sleep. So I'm having a policy discussion.
I'm watching California burn right now because their politics haven't gone to sleep. But what do we?
I don't think that politics started the California fire. But okay. So do you have any specific?
We didn't clear brush. I live here. Let me tell you, we didn't clear brush. Our reservoirs were empty.
Yeah.
The reservoir projects that we had haven't even been begun. It's been 20 years since we approved new reservoirs. They haven't started. We're talking about them being done in 2028. Who runs California?
Let me guess. You're gonna blame Democrats for all your problems, huh?
Well, I'm sorry. Do Republicans? Is Gavin Newsom a Republican?
I mean, Gavin Newsom is a conservative Democrat. He's not particularly a progressive. Much of California. Let me tell you this. Let me tell you this about California. California politics are unique because it's such a blue state that if you are a more quote-unquote moderate or centrist or right-wing person, politically, if you're an ambitious person, it just makes sense for you to go to the California Republican or the California Democratic Party. You actually see this across the country that the most progressives tend to be in the most competitive states. Look at Wisconsin. Look at Michigan. They actually get progressive things done. Meanwhile, California and New York Democrats kind of suck. So, yeah, I can criticize my own party.
We can agree there.
Anyway, so I have here the prompt here.
I don't know how you separate the Democratic Party as a whole from, like, California and New York. Who is Kamala Harris? Where is she from?
California. Do you think I defend Kamala Harris with every single thing that she does, or do you think I maybe have some reasonable criticisms? That's not my point.
You're trying to separate New York and California. You're trying to separate New York and California, and yet the main people that you guys have picked and ran and had, California. Who is going to be the replacement? Gavin Newsom, if she didn't run. You can't separate.
Well, no, I don't think Gavin Newsom was gonna. I don't think Gavin Newsom was gonna be the replacement for Kamala Harris. If, for example, there was a primary, let's say Joe Biden dropped out a while ago, and you had a primary between, say, Kamala Harris, Gretchen Whitmer, Gavin Newsom, say the governor of Wisconsin, maybe the governor of Kentucky. I personally, and I think a lot of Democrats would be much more for a Gretchen Whitmer or a Tim Walz over a Gavin Newsom or Kathy Hochul from New York. My point is that the Democratic Party has a variety of ideologies, which is actually why I find myself a member of it, because there's actually a fight within the party. Meanwhile, the Republican Party, it's more aesthetics that are different, not really policy. Liz Cheney, a lot of Republicans don't like Liz Cheney, but Donald Trump and Liz Cheney vote together 95% of the time. So the only place they really disagree is January 6th.
The party that shouted you down for the past decade, if you didn't get right in line, that's the party with the diversity of views?
There is a diversity of views. Yeah, it's called a fight. You don't fight easily.
Could you give me an example?
So, I mean, do you understand that the Republican Party, like, you can literally vote with Donald Trump 95% of the time, but if you disagree, let's say, about the election, the 2020 election, the claims of election fraud, then you're kicked out of the party, then you're
that's not true.
Excommunicated. What happened to Liz Cheney?
Where are you getting that from?
What happened to Liz Cheney?
Wait a minute. So
what happened to Liz Cheney?
2020 election, you're telling me that as a
is there actual I'm not really talking about Trump supporters like regular voters. I'm talking about figures and politicians. But is there really much ideological difference when it comes to policy between, say, Mitt Romney and a Donald Trump?
Yes, a very big difference. Mitt Romney, you have a conservative Mormon man who actually believes in God, really goes back to the Judeo-Christian values of this nation, versus Trump, who's a businessman who doesn't care, who said, yeah, I'll take advantage of tax code. You give me opportunities. I'm here to make money. You don't think a billionaire like Mitt Romney takes advantage of a broken tax code? I don't think he doesn't. I think he's the family man that does the Judeo-Christian value thing. Trump never went that way. That's never the policy he pushed. He never talked about business, running the America like a business. It was all about.
Mitt Romney was talking about business. Donald Trump was talking about business. They were using their business background to promote their presidential campaigns. I would just kind of like to know the policy difference between, say, the factions of the Republican Party.
The policy difference. Oh, you're okay. So what's the policy difference of the Republican Party? You have Republicans that believe we should be isolationists, hardcore. You have Republicans who think we need to be involved in every fight, and that's allowed. But right now, as a Democrat, if you didn't support the Ukraine war, oh my God, you might as well have gotten on the stake yourself and set the flames. You just had no chance. If you
hold on. Let's focus on the Republicans for now. Let's focus on the Republicans for now, because I asked you a specific question.
Okay, sure. You have hardcore isolationists. You have
Liz Cheney.
And you have everyone in between.
You have someone like Liz Cheney, and you have like someone like Dick Cheney. They don't like Donald Trump. They endorse Kamala, sure, and a lot of MAGA doesn't really like them. But when it comes to the policies, someone like Donald Trump and Liz Cheney really are not that different. She campaigned for him in 2020 when he was president. She voted, for him 95% of the time.
Those two candidates are not very different. But how about every candidate in between? That again. We have Republicans that did run for president. Anywhere between hardcore isolationism and being involved in every conflict, again, you're allowed to have that. You just brought up you have Republicans who hate Donald Trump.
I don't really know much isolationists with power in the Republican Party.
You say that again?
I don't really know much isolationists with power in the Republican Party.
Trump's whole thing is quitting the wars and being isolationist.
Trump is not an isolationist. Trump was very interventionist when he was president.
Interventionist with boots on the ground, or interventionist with some economic policy?
In terms of war,
there's a very
he did move around troops, he did move around our troops. He did deploy certain troops. He did increase drone strikes 432%. He did support a genocide in Saudi Arabia when he had an opportunity to stop selling weapons to Saudi Arabia.
He supported it, but sure.
But what do you don't think he supported
drone
it?
Strikes. He took out ISIS.
Hold on. You don't think he supported the continued sale of weapons to the Saudis' genocide in Yemen?
How exactly? I'd love to know how you think Trump specifically supported it.
Yeah.
Not turned a blind eye.
So
not
do you?
chose nothing, not chose not to do anything, but support.
Yeah. So do you know? Hold on, I'm gonna put someone on hold for now. One moment.
Sure.
I'm gonna put you on hold, but stay in the queue for now.
Okay.
But yeah, how he supported it. You know I'm sure you know Bernie Sanders, famous guy. Do you know Mike Lee?
Yeah. No.
Yeah. So no. Well, Mike Lee is a Republican senator. So Bernie Sanders and Mike Lee wrote a bill together. It got past the Senate, got past the House. It's essentially to stop the sale of weapons to Saudi Arabia as they were committing a genocide in Yemen. You know, the human rights organizations considered that the worst humanitarian crisis in the world at the time, around like 2018. And it got past the Senate. It got past the House. It got to Trump's desk. And Donald Trump could have signed it and essentially stopped giving, if we look at this from an individual level, it's as if you're giving a knife or a gun to a known serial killer. We could have, all the bill was stopping the sale of that knife or gun to the serial killer. But Donald Trump vetoed the bill. But it shouldn't be a surprise that he vetoed the bill, because after his presidency, Jared Kushner got $2 billion, his son-in-law, and he personally took hundreds of millions of dollars from Saudi Arabia through the Live Golf tours, through the Trump hotels, and so on and so forth. So he has a connection with Saudi Arabia, which made him so that he was willing to not be isolationist, he was willing to be interventionist, and he was willing to fund and arm a genocide.
Saudi Arabia, aren't we the people that buy oil from them, provide their entire military practically?
We do give them a lot for the military.
Right. So how are these weapons specifically being used for the genocide?
Well, I mean, if you give a wait, hold on.
My point is, if we've been selling weapons, we've been selling these to these guys for how long? These guys kick off their own conflict, right? We're allies with them. We have nothing to do with the conflict they kicked off. And you're saying that it's supporting a genocide to continue to sell them weapons?
Yes. Because if they're then using our weapons to commit a genocide.
Surface level. Okay, so now they stop sending us oil. Now let's go to war with God.
So wait. So
you cannot look at this.
We need to depend on Saudi Arabia. There's no alternatives to depending on Saudi Arabia. Because if we're willing to work with authoritarians to get an extra supply of oil or whatever, there's other authoritarians that I'm not fans of, but ultimately are not committing a genocide. You know what I mean? Like we don't have to. No, like even then.
I'll answer your question.
Yeah.
We don't have to depend on. We do not have to depend on any authoritarians for our oil, but we do, because instead of drilling ourselves, we do not have the infrastructure. We do not have the ability. So yes, we do.
We're the biggest drillers in the world. We produce the most oil of any country.
And we don't do enough because Biden killed how many different pipelines and projects?
Biden's producing more oil than any other president in the history of this country.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Just like there's more people on Earth right now than ever, that doesn't make him, he's keeping up. He's not making enough. There's a difference. He's going to have to. Just like there's going to be more.
So, Donald Trump's energy policy is just drill, baby, drill more, drill more. And Joe Biden's been doing that. He's producing more than ever in history. And you guys still aren't satisfied. But my point is, if being the number one producer in the world by far is not enough, and we have to turn to other nations because we want to let our oil companies, our domestic oil companies, export the oil to maximize their profits, even at the sacrifice of our own people, then there's other authoritarians we can turn to than those committing genocides.
See, the way you just described that, again, it's such a surface level view. So you want to take control. Let's take control of the oil companies that have built themselves.
I'm not saying we have to take control. I'm not saying that we have to take control, but I'm saying that if you look at oil exports, hold on. If you look at oil exports, the long history, you would see that it was fairly stable for a long time, and then after 2016, and it's not just a Trump thing, it continued under Biden, the export of oil outside the United States, while we were previously exporting, but had such a dramatic spike from that point, that's unlike anything we ever seen in the history of this country. So I think when, for example, we have gas price problems or people are complaining about the gas prices, rather than maximizing profits as much as possible by exporting, I think it would be responsible for these oil companies to invest more in America and put these oil into the domestic market and make gasoline essential.
You and I are in full agreement. The Democratic Party has never and will never allow that. Period.
What are you talking about?
How many pipelines did Biden
Wait, this isn't a problem about oil production because we produce a tremendous amount of oil. No, hold on.
It is.
Just to be clear.
Sure.
We're number one producers in the world. We're continuing the same trend that was happening under Trump, where he was increasing oil production. Joe Biden continued that trend. And the companies, the private companies, are also continuing exports. This is not an issue about production per se. This is an issue about allocation, where the oil is going. I understand that there's a good amount of money to be made if you're exporting the oil. But I think if these companies want to stay private, then they should factor in the needs of the American people.
Okay, so I get it. I'm not a socialist, not a communist, not even close. You don't build a private company and have the government take it from you. Good effing luck. But I'm not
proposing the government. Wait, hold on. Let's be clear about my position, because it seems like you're accusing me of saying that I want to nationalize them.
I got to respond to a few things first.
Okay, go ahead.
First off, it is a matter of production. The only way to bring the oil prices down, if you don't want to buy it from other places and you don't want to take control of the private company, you have to let them produce.
Which is what Biden's been doing.
You and I agree. No, you and I agree that we need to get.
That's what Biden's been doing.
The oil going. Biden cannot kill pipelines, and then you tell me that he's getting people.
Are you specifically referring to the Keystone Pipeline that he did kill?
I'm referring to the Keystone pipelines and other federal lands.
Let's go ahead and talk about the Keystone Pipeline. Where was the Keystone Pipeline being built?
It's not just.
I know, but the Keystone Pipeline. The Keystone Pipeline is a very specific example that a lot of people reference. Where was the Keystone Pipeline being built?
Look, we can get into the Keystone Pipeline. I'll give you. Let's say that was going to make no difference. I'd rather not go into the Keystone Pipeline. Just it's a boring one everyone knows about.
But where was it going? Where was it going?
It was going to it was from Canada to Mexico, is my understanding.
I believe Texas. It was going to the Gulf of Mexico with the purpose of being exported. The oil that was going to go through the Keystone Pipeline was not oil for Americans, and and it wasn't even done. So the stopping of construction for a pipeline meant for oil exports is not going to have a dramatic effect on oil prices in the United States. It's not the reason why inflation occurred.
Okay, hang on. So this is your scenario. You're a billionaire. You need to make some money somehow. You're looking at American oil, wondering, should I invest in this area? Am I going to make good money? You look over here and you see Biden killing a pipeline for exports that you would. You also see
Biden approving projects.
Hang on. And you also look over
oil production going up.
You see all these federal land. You see all this federal land that has nothing but oil under it that we cannot. We cannot. I want to say drill. It is drill. I want to say dig, and it sounds like an idiot. We cannot drill simply because the government says we can't, and that's without getting into the regulations in the areas where technically you can, with some big ass air quotes. Because by the end of the day, all the rules and regulations and worrying about that three-spotted toad, it means it's not going to happen. So, as someone with $1 billion, you're telling me you're going to bet on American oil right now, not
you would also, I mean, again, we have, based on the hypothetical you're pushing in, you're saying look at an oil baron's perspective. An oil baron wants to make as much money as possible, and they want to maybe drill more oil. They see in the entirety of the Biden administration oil production going up and up and up and up and up. They say, okay, I'm gonna join that. And most likely, again, you're telling me to look in the perspective of an oil baron. Personally, I don't really care about the perspective of oil barons very much. But if I were to look into the oil, if I were to look in the oil baron's perspective, these are the people that are exporting American oil, even though we're producing more oil. They are Keystone. Keystone was going to Texas to export.
That's an export. Exactly. You said export. So you're a billionaire that wants to export oil that is watching the president kill.
You understand there's other ways to do it besides the Keystone Pipeline. And that's why oil exports have continued. You would look at
American people.
If you're an oil baron, you would look at other things, again, like oil production going up, like oil exports going up, and you would see that there is still money to be made, and you would still likely work on your projects. And Biden has approved a bunch of projects. Biden has done drill, baby drill, and that hasn't made you guys happy. So I think if we really want energy independence, I think if we want to do energy independence, then we got to start looking at alternative sources as well and maximize as much production as possible. Why is that a problem?
So I would love to know.
I mean, there's a million things. We should go all in. Why are you against going all in?
We can't hang on. We can't get wind, solar, or
we can look into wind and solar, nuclear, whatever it takes. We shouldn't just depend on oil.
Nuclear.
I know it's kind of bizarre. Wait, hold on. It's kind of bizarre. I feel like when you talk about just increasing oil production, particularly in solar and wind, a lot of conservatives are like, "Ew, no." But then nuclear, they're fine with it. I'm fine with all of it. I just want to maximize energy production, so we're not so dependent on foreign countries that import oil.
If you want to maximize, energy production, ask Germany. The whole solar.
Yeah, I'm for nuclear. I'm fine with nuclear. And it really hasn't failed. It really hasn't failed. I think I would love to know why it failed, but
because we cannot convert. We cannot find a way to make the wind move an object at any rate that remotely will last long enough to create enough energy to make the construction of the damn thing worth it. It takes more oil to make and burning diesel to make these columns for these wind farms.
Well, that's why I'm for all of them. Yeah, I think that
there's no way to make it work. No country made it work.
I don't understand. Wait, hold on. I don't understand. It's so bizarre. I'm saying I'm for all energy production, including necessary oil production, including necessary coal production. But we should be looking into alternatives. I'm not opposed to solar and wind, and I'm not opposed to nuclear either. Now, you like nuclear, you like oil, and that's fine. You can like those things, and you would be benefiting from what I'm proposing, which is to maximize energy production. So,
and if you want energy production, what I'm saying is you're going to waste more time and energy putting up these wind farms right now.
I'm not against whatever flaw you're saying that they have. Doing research and trying to improve them. Work on the flaws. That's how science works. You just improve over time. Do what you can now, which is you can increase oil production, like Joe Biden's been doing, and you can also put as much solar fields or wind farms or nuclear plants as you need to increase oil production or energy production broadly, so that we can have cheaper energy.
We're not talking about energy production in a century. We're talking about what to do right now.
Yeah, I'm talking about now. Yes.
We're not going to put up solar farms in the next 4 years. The technology isn't there. If I was going to talk to you,
I would like to see any source where you're saying like the technology's not there, because there's a bunch of solar farms examples all over the world. China's dominating the solar market because we refuse to actually invest in the market, and we're letting them dominate. But again, my position is simple: produce more energy and make it cheaper. And Biden has produced more oil production, but you're saying he hasn't produced more oil production. The oil executives are getting rich, but you're saying
I can end it there. I have not said he has not produced more oil. What I'm saying is just like
he's closing projects.
Like the S&P, just like everything else, you have to create more of something to keep up with demand. That doesn't mean you're creating enough. He's maintained the baseline for what America's needed, which will obviously continue to grow.
Yeah, I don't think it's maintaining the. I don't think it's really maintaining the baseline when you are highest ever. But okay, we can agree to disagree there.
It was highest ever under Trump. You're trying to give Biden credit for continuing
highest ever under Donald Trump.
Trump's going to do it more.
What was the highest annual barrels, thousands of barrels produced per day under Donald Trump?
I appreciate if you think I have that off the top of my head. I don't.
Okay, well, I mean, we're both on technology, so I can look it up, and it's really easy. The peak for Donald Trump was 12,314,000 barrels per day in 2019, and the peak for Joe Biden was 12,935,000 barrels per day. So the point is, like, all right, what? The peak for Donald Trump. The peak for Donald Trump was 12,314,000 barrels per day. The peak for Joe Biden in 2023, this doesn't even factor in 2024, but the peak for Joe Biden at this point was 12,935,000 barrels per day. Now remember, this is not 12,000 barrels per day. We're talking in thousands, so multiply by 1,000. So peak, then it went down under Trump, and then it went up under Biden. Each year of his presidency, it went up. So the point is this: I mean, if you guys just want to, increase and increase,
minimal thing. It's sad that that's a talking point. You can't.
I don't know what your point is. Yes,
You're
you
within
can.
5 to 600,000 barrels, like 5 years later.
Well,
4 years later.
you understand that there was a recovery in the market, right? It went down under Donald Trump. When Donald Trump left office, it went down to 11,323,000 barrels.
Yes.
So
Did it ever
nearly
dip under Trump?
nearly
Sure, but you're
a
not gonna bring
thousand
that
times
up.
1,000. So
Well, it kind of
Biden
dipped
had to
under
recover.
Trump. Kind of dipped with the whole
You know,
COVID
so
thing, but yeah.
COVID's
You're
a
not
great
gonna give
excuse,
Trump the
and
same benefit.
COVID's a great excuse that every Republican loves to go to. But he was president, so he can
No.
still take
I wasn't going
responsibility.
with excuses, but then
Yeah,
you gave
yeah,
Biden
yeah.
one, so I gave Trump his.
I mean,
You're
what
not,
was
you're going to
Biden's
talk about
excuse?
why
Wait, hold on. I'm
you
gonna
tweet for
put
Biden.
someone.
You're
I'm
not
gonna
gonna
put
talk
someone in
about
the
why you
queue.
tweet.
I'm gonna put you on hold for now. You have to stay in the queue before you get to come on. Okay?
Yeah, I did that. I was hung up on. Is there like an explanation?
I didn't hang up on anybody. But okay, the person just
okay.
left. So wait. Okay, hold on.
Okay.
Is this them coming back? No, this is not them coming back. I'm gonna put this person on hold. Okay?
Okay.
I'm gonna put you on hold. You have to stay in the queue for now. Okay?
Hmm?
All right. What's on your mind? Hello? Hello? 828.
Hey, I just for some context, yes.
Yeah. I think there might be a delay. You want to call back?
Okay. Sure.
Okay. I'll let this person call back since they were waiting. All right, 828 area code. What's on your mind?
Okay. Just for some context, I cannot vote for anyone yet because I'm
Yeah.
only 13 years of age.
Yeah, I
But
could guess that.
I'm a supporter.
Yeah.
So, my thing is, I don't know the logistics of it. I don't know if it's 100% true. But
Yeah.
one of my friends' dad
Mhm.
lost everything in Helene. I live in Western North Carolina.
Yeah.
So, he is a big-time conservative. He taught me politics, realistically. And I saw one FEMA truck at his house, and I had to go. So after the FEMA came up, I just went back to my house, and I was like, I'm not going to be in the middle of this. This is private.
Yeah.
Private business.
Yeah.
So what he told me was, when he walked out, he was wearing a Maga hat, and he said that the truck left immediately. And I did see a truck. I didn't see what type it was leaving that area. So I just wanted to say, I mean, in the case in, I think it was Florida, they were intentionally skipping over houses with MAGA signs and stuff like that. But I don't know what you think about it.
Yeah. I'm not aware of anybody like not getting help because they are a Trump supporter. Florida is governed by Republicans, so I'm not aware of that. I do know that there was a lot of recovery efforts after the hurricane because I'm in Florida, from Democrats, from Republicans. It wasn't really a partisan thing. People were just getting help. Around my area, there was like a tornado that showed up, and I saw members of the local Democratic Party helping out, and I'm assuming Republicans were there. I don't know. I'm not sure. But generally with disaster relief, it shouldn't really be partisan. It's kind of a concern of mine. There's a lot of fires happening in California right now. But one of the issues with Donald Trump is he kind of wants to put strings attached to the support, to the recovery money. And he might use this as an opportunity for retribution. In general, with Biden, for whatever flaw that he had, he didn't use his position for retribution when it came to money being sent to disaster areas.
Okay.
Yeah.
I understand where you're coming from, but the one thing I've got to say is, hold on, I'm sick right now, so I've got to cough real quick. But
No problem. I'm recovering too.
okay. So where he lived, it was a couple blocks down, so the destruction was still there. It was off the foundation. Everything was gone.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that Trump might do retaliation, and you mentioned California. So we'll do the California fires first. What I'm saying is, we'll do the forest fires first.
Okay.
So, obviously, this might just be a coincidence, but it did feel like it was days after FEMA got to California from all these different states. But for my area, at least, it took weeks. I lost power for 32 days, and I didn't see a FEMA truck. We didn't have any damage on the main house we lived in, but a house a couple miles down did have a little bit of damage. And we were eligible for the, I think it was $750 loan.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
I'm not too. I don't know the exact details of what relief was available. I definitely think relief should have been higher, and that kind of becomes a budgeting thing. So unfortunately, a lot of Republicans, and they're going to be the majority in government, have been talking about cutting, and that usually includes FEMA. I think in the recent spending bill, there was an increase in funding for FEMA, but I believe it was Elon Musk that shot that bill down, and I don't know if it was maintained in the final bill that was made. When it comes to, the experiences in California and your area, I can't speak to individual experiences, but what I can say is that it's my personal belief that those that are victims of disasters should be taken care of immediately, and we should put a tremendous amount of money into that. I'm aware there were some areas in North Carolina, like some more rural areas, where FEMA workers were actually being attacked, and that actually slowed down the process quite a bit. There was a lot of chaos and confusion in that situation, and there's many factors to why aid could have been slowed down, but in general, the government should always prioritize disaster preparedness. But I think we both agree on that. Is there any other comments you want to make?
I understand that you have the same thing where the relief should have been higher.
Yeah.
But I feel like, because the damages rebuild it, the damages that were there, but it cost us, I think, around, and I feel like in a time like this, the economy isn't the greatest. I feel like that 750 could have went a long way.
Yeah. Were you able to get the 750? Or no?
I think you cut out a little bit there.
Just asking your case, were you guys able to get the 750?
No, we were not. We were.
Yeah. I don't know the qualifications or whatever, but if you guys needed help, I would hope you guys were able to get that help, and hopefully some reforms happen in FEMA that make that a little bit more available for people. But I think we're mostly in agreement that people that are in disaster should get relief. So I'm gonna let you go for now. Thank you for calling in.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yep. 440 area code. What's on your mind? 440.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, what's up?
All right, so I got some things to say. So I want to ask you, do you feel confident that Kamala Harris, whose leadership has been not very good and has been questioned, do you think that in a critical room with a figure like that, Vladimir Putin, do you really think that she could, decide our fate?
Yeah. I mean, look, hold on. I'm going to put someone on hold real quick. I'm going to put you on hold. Stay in the queue, okay? But yeah, to answer your question, Kamala Harris has some flaws, but Donald Trump has, in my view, significantly more flaws. When it comes to who's qualified to do foreign policy, I would much rather trust Kamala Harris over Donald Trump. Ultimately, though, the election is over, and Kamala Harris will not be president, and Donald Trump will be president. So he has a record that we can look at in 2016 about how he handled foreign policy, and we can see what he's promising and talking about what he wants to do in his upcoming term. You know what I mean? And what he's been talking about is annexing Canada, annexing the Panama Canal, annexing Greenland. He was framed as the anti-war candidate, but before he's even in office, he's talking about war. It's old school imperialism, and it kind of gives justification to Ukraine, or to Russia invading Ukraine and potentially China invading Taiwan, if the United States is just invading its neighbors, right? In his previous record, we can see that he increased drone strikes 432%. That he supported genocide in Saudi Arabia, that he took money from Sheldon Adelson and let Israel do whatever they wanted, about, I think, 100 to 200 million, and this time around, he took $100 million from Sheldon Adelson's widow, So when it comes to foreign policy, I trust him significantly less than Kamala Harris, but ultimately he's going to be the president soon. So, yeah.
Yeah, but like, what do you think about? I mean, obviously annexing Canada, but also like, do you think of? I mean, like obviously the Panama Canal and everything. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's Greenland's a significant geopolitical, I would say territory.
Yeah.
I mean, we already have a military base in Greenland. Greenland's super rich in natural resources, and we could have tons of Arctic shipping routes. Like, it's a very strategic place to have a territory.
Yeah, but every invasion of conquest could be justified with the potential strategic benefit, right? But that doesn't really justify imperialism, right? When it comes to Greenland, listen, if the people in Greenland want to be part of America, then they can be part of America. I would hope they actually get proper citizenship and get treated as a state rather than a territory, like how we treat Puerto Rico. But there's no interest really among the people in Greenland, and Greenland is technically owned. While it's a bit of an autonomous region, it's technically owned by Denmark. We also have to get the agreement of Denmark if we were to do this in a polite, civil manner. But Donald Trump was directly asked about whether or not he would use the military, and he said, or like, he was asked if he was guaranteed to not use military force or economic coercion, and he said, no, I'm not going to guarantee that. So, yeah, he's super into imperialism, it seems.
Well, and for Canada, I would like, you obviously know about Justin Trudeau, stepping down as the prime minister.
Yep.
I really don't think that the people of Canada, I would say they would want to like be a part of America much more than, being part of Canada. As Canada's already so far into tyranny. I think.
Wait, you're saying that you think Canadians would want to just join America?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, I would.
I think there was like polling done on this, and they found that like 13% wanted to, and 80-something%, I think 87% said they don't want to. So it's pretty easy to sort of just check where the civilians are at, and I think if you were to ask most people, would they want to give up national sovereignty and just join a country, I think most would say no, even if it's the smallest country. And the thing is, say that they genuinely wanted to. I wouldn't mind them actually becoming part of America if they voted yes. But Donald Trump has said he'd be willing to use economic or military coercion, it seems. Now, do I think that he's actually going to follow through on a military invasion in Canada? Probably not, because ultimately, Canada's a Western country, part of NATO. It might be a little bit of a tougher thing to sell to the American people, but I can very much see him, for example, doing a military invasion of Panama to take the Panama Canal, because frankly, just being honest here, the people in Panama are Latinos. They're Hispanic. You know what I mean? They're a third world country, or I don't know if they're third world, but they're a developing country in the global south. And I think while there would be a significant amount of outrage, and I would be outraged at, imperialism, I think that we've let our government get away with a lot when it comes to attacking people in the global south. So that's probably what I could see him doing. I don't think he would actually do a military invasion of Canada, and I really disagree with the notion that the people in Canada want to be part of the United States.
Okay. And then I just got one more thing. So, what do you think about, the U.S. government, like, hiding stuff? So, for example, obviously, you probably know about the Nashville shooter. It was more recent, I would say.
Well, what are they hiding specifically?
Well, so the Nashville shooter went in, I'm not really sure where, but it killed tons of people. And the government decided that it was bad for the cause, since obviously that was a transgender, whatever. And I think any ideology that led to murder or, anything should be really investigated a lot more. And really, I didn't even know about that when it happened.
You didn't know they were trans?
Well, no, I just didn't hear it. It was, most shootings that you see, they're all over the news.
Yeah.
And I really can think that the government really hid that and suppressed
Well,
it.
I don't think that the Nashville shooting was hidden at all. It was breaking news, and ultimately, I understand if shootings become sort of tuned out for people like people like us, regular people, because we hear about shootings all the time. But I don't think really this individual's transgenderness is the reason why the shooting happened. Otherwise, we'd have to blame like a lot of shooters' whiteness or whatever trait that they have for a shooting happen. I think it's just a psychopath doing a horrible act. But I don't think the government was hiding the Nashville shooting because, I mean, it was breaking news. Though I don't deny that the government does have a history of hiding stuff. COINTELPRO, I don't think you're aware of that, but it was our government agencies were influencing, were trying to essentially get rid of who they deem as threats. Now, who they deem as threats were specifically, leftists, sometimes maybe like black nationalists or whatever. They killed Fred Hampton. They tried to get Martin Luther King Jr. to kill himself. The FBI directly opened a letter. So there are definitely secrets that the government's holding, and usually it's the things that they're doing against people on the left. But when it comes to Nashville particularly, I don't think that was hidden at all.
So then, do you think that people with mental health disorders are more prone to committing mass murders, mass shootings, and mass crimes?
Sure.
So then, why aren't we doing anything about it? Is the problem? I mean, Joe Biden.
Oh, we should absolutely do something. It was Ronald Reagan actually that I believe shut down a lot of the mental health institutions. I don't know if it was while he was president or while he was governor of California, but if we want to have serious mental health treatment and just better health in general, we should look into something like Medicare for all to make sure as much people as possible have health care and they can get treatment.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
Thank you for calling, or thank you for letting me in. So.
Okay. Thank you for being respectful. Have a good day.
Yes, sir. You too. Goodbye.
Bye. All right. Hold up. Somebody's calling in. I'm going to put them on hold. I'm going to put you on hold for now. Stay in the queue.
Okay.
All right. 937 area code. What's on your mind?
So me and you briefly in a previous live stream touched on universal health care and why it is unfeasible for the country as it stands. And you were kind of giving out a lot of blanket statements, because I was referencing and referring to the fact that we are so understaffed and undereducated in this country that universal health care, as it stands for the foreseeable future, would never work.
Mm-hmm.
It would crush the healthcare system almost immediately.
I mean, that's quite the claims.
Well, I mean, if you look at it the way it is, I mean, if you look at, let's say long-term care facilities now, for a brief example, long-term care facilities as it stands now are understaffed. 20 beds to one nurse. I mean, that's in a lot of ways criminal. If you look at it, I don't know if you've ever had to talk to someone who is a nurse or has to go through that on a day-to-day basis, but 20 patients to one person is.
So wait, this is
crushing.
so you're saying because there are some staff shortages that we can't have universal health care like every other country in the world? Are you saying they don't have staff shortages in the rest of the developed world?
Well, I'm saying that the staff shortages that we experience here are to the degree that if you, let's say tomorrow, for all intents of an example, tomorrow, universal health care passed. The wait list to see a doctor would be months out.
Yeah, well, I don't think if universal healthcare was passed, it would just be like everybody's covered in a single year. I think it'd be a process of gradually increasing the Medicare age over the years, and it would be a gradual process. Of course, during that process, we would try to increase staff, try to get rid of shortages, and so on and so forth. And one of the ways you do that is, through improving education and improving. Sorry, there was notification, so I'm going to repeat that so the audience can hear it. The ways you deal with staff shortages are improving education so more people can study these fields and become part of these fields, and also using immigration to fill out the gaps. There's a history in the United States of us having Filipino nurses, and that's one of the big things about Filipino culture that every Filipino knows is we're full of nurses and engineers that oftentimes, they'll travel to maybe the Middle East, they'll travel to the United States, and they fill in these gaps and they do valuable work. So, yeah, I don't think
that's great and all, but their
I don't think this is
their
really
credentials aren't just going to roll over. They would have to be trained, and they would have to be educated, and they would have to pass state-to-state examinations.
Yeah, there's a process, and Filipino nurses have been doing it for decades. For example, and other types of immigrants, other immigrants can do it. I don't understand why you're saying it makes no sense to have foreign immigrants come in, because we literally have already done it.
But why can't we just encourage more Americans to do it, and then maybe
we can absolutely do it. We make education more accessible and affordable for people, because you have to go to nursing school, you have to get trained, like you were saying. So we do everything we need to fill in the gaps, because you're complaining about a potential shortage, and there are practical ways to fill in gaps.
There's a shortage now. Yeah. It's not about a potential shortage. There's a shortage now.
Yeah. You're complaining about a shortage, and there are ways we address it.
But
increasing access to education.
Let's do this universal health care thing. Like they can just
you're saying,
and make it happen.
Again, the Democratic Party shut down pretty much the main advocate for universal health care, Bernie Sanders. Joe D says, I agree with Nathan. Thank you, Joe D, for the $1.99. But many Democrats are not for universal health care, actually, and it's mainly the progressive side of things. And you talk to progressives, and part of their policy platform is always getting more people access to college and trade school, getting more people specialized educations to fill these jobs.
Are you still there?
Yeah, you still there? Did you hear me?
No, you cut out the last minute there.
Yeah. I was saying that, first of all, not all Democrats are progressive Democrats that want to do universal health care. Second of all, when you actually do talk to the progressive Democrats that want to do it, they also always have on their platform increasing access to education, like college, like trade school, to give people specialized educations so that they can get into the fields that we need, and in this case, becoming a nurse, becoming a doctor.
Right, so how are we going, how do you expect to have these Filipino nurses they would have to be brought here by the truckload. I mean, I don't mean to exaggerate that at all.
You understand that there's a history of Filipino nurses already coming to America and doing work, and
they're already here, man.
They're already ingrained. They're already ingrained to the system. Yeah, they're ingrained into the system. It's a very common thing.
I'm just saying that we're jumping from it would be like taking a 32-team NFL league and then jumping it to a 128-team league. That would be the kind of personnel jump
it's a gradual thing. You increase access to healthcare over time.
For the next 30 years?
Yeah, you could probably do it sooner. We got Medicare and Social Security done out of nowhere. There was no Medicare beforehand. There was no Social Security beforehand, but we were able to get it done real quick. In a time specifically where there was less advanced technology, and we were able to get it done. Now, we gradually increased the Medicare age to encompass more people, get it to 50, get it to 40, get it to 30, and then you cover everybody. And in that time, we're also educating people. We're also having people come here and immigrate that are specifically going to be nurses or doctors or whatever gap we need. And we make sure that these labor shortages are full.
Well, that would take decades. That's just not a realistic.
I think you're thinking a little small, man. We've done amazing stuff in a span of much less time. We've responded to crises, we've responded to war, and when we actually put our minds to something, we can absolutely do it. I don't underestimate the ability of America.
So, what about the fact that there already is 30,000 physicians total in this country right now?
Uh-huh.
Oh, I'm sorry. I misspoke. We are short 30,000 physicians.
But part of that is probably an education issue, because we make it real hard to get a decent education in America with expanding cost of education. So that's why we do college for all. College for all could probably be the most, probably be step one, I would say, because it's one of the easier to implement. And college for all includes
in that
trade
same
schools and so on and
statement,
so
though,
forth.
you're kind of running into a similar issue in the fact that, these universities can't just take everybody that walks through the door.
I'm not talking about the private universities, these public universities. And again, if college is free, you still have to qualify.
You can get a bachelor degree from a public university. That's not.
You think
that's not a grad school?
Wait. Hold on. You think getting a bachelor is free?
You're confusing like a public university and community college.
No, I'm not. I'm saying that do you think going to public university or community college is a free process? Neither are free processes. And in both cases, particularly with the university side of things, it's getting more expensive.
I just don't think they have as much admissions as you think they do. I don't think that you're really.
I mean, you're making a bizarre. Wait, hold on. You're making a bizarre claim that it's like free to get into public university. It's not free to get into public university.
It's not free, but there is a number of seats that can be filled. Correct?
Yeah, sure.
So what I'm trying to say is, even if we had, let's say we had the best of both worlds, we had universal health care and we had free education. Mm-hmm. There isn't enough.
You're saying that the existing universities are not enough to encompass potentially new students, I guess?
The amount of new students that you're suggesting, yes.
Okay, so that's a wonderful thing. That's actually a great benefit, because then we can build more universities, build more schools. It's a great infrastructure and construction program for people in those fields.
Tax dollar income.
I mean, if we're to do nothing because of the potential of work, we would literally do nothing. Because we could look at literally any plan, any program, and say, well, that might take some time and money. Yeah. We're the richest country in the history of the world. We're a superpower. I say, yeah, if we're going to invest money, we should invest money in our people rather than bombs overseas.
I don't think that we're just investing. I just don't think that we're investing all of our money into sending bombs overseas. But I mean, in the fact that if you're referring to Ukraine, sending our money to Ukraine, I mean, I'm also referring to.
I'm also referring to Israel. I'm also referring to Saudi Arabia. I'm also referring to our own wars that we fought for like 2 decades. We spend a lot of money to fight, and when you look at how our military operates, they do some real sophisticated and impressive shit that's almost beyond imagination. I feel like we can do real sophisticated and impressive stuff at home if we put the same level of investment, the same level of energy.
Right, but that money has to come from somewhere, and
yeah,
I don't think
we already
away from our military budget is the way to do that.
Well, I think we can lower our military budget. We spend more than the top 10 countries combined. Maybe we could spend more than the top 5 countries combined.
And there's a reason for that. Nobody's close to us.
Maybe we could spend more than the if we spend more than the top 5 countries combined, it would also be a very far distance from us. And we would also still have the number 1 military. We'd have the number 1 budget. We can probably close some bases in like Western Europe, very far from any action. Let's say like in France or Germany. I'm not saying every single base, but there's practical ways
the reason our military
to save some money.
Is so successful is our logistical advantage of those bases. That is
I'm not saying I'm not saying that we have to close every single base, but I'm saying if we close some bases in some areas where there's no active war and a front line we have to supply. That could probably work out. I think we should invest more in building this country, building up our education. You came in talking about the potential problem of labor shortages, and I'm giving solutions: immigration and education.
And so instead of you're expecting a lot of tax money to be there. You're saying that we can cut money from our military.
If we spend taxes on big wars, trillions of dollars on military programs, and then we can probably spend some money in infrastructure and education. I mean, you look at, say, the College for All plan, it's really not that expensive compared to a lot of things we spend on. Donald Trump will add like $100 billion into the military each year of his presidency. Meanwhile, the Bernie Sanders College for All plan in particular, I'm trying to look for the specific price for you, what was proposed, but off the top of my head, I feel like I've seen estimates that's like $40 to $60 billion. $40 to $60 billion is real small compared to $100 billion, and another $100 billion for the military.
That plan did not cover absolutely everything. It It didn't cover grad school. It didn't cover.
Yeah, I'm not saying we need to cover every single thing, but it's a good place for public college, university, and trade school.
The people in crippling debt when it comes to college for all are those people going into grad school.
There are people that are getting debt from regular public universities, 4-year bachelor's degrees. It can really add up.
It's $7,000 at most in debt from a public university for a bachelor's degree. The rest is going to be.
I don't know if that's the case for everybody at public university. I know people that might do double majors. I know people that do a major and a minor. I know people that just do a major, but they also have to do their major classes and they have to do their elective classes. Point is, it's an expensive process. When it comes to public education from K through 12, we're actually able to go to school without having to pull your credit card out every time you get a new class, and that's doable for.
That is incorrect.
You think whenever a kid goes to their high school, they have to pull a credit card out when they have to pick a new class for the next semester?
You ever heard of kids not being able to graduate from public school because they haven't paid any school fees for the 12 years they've been there?
What exactly is these school fees? Are you talking about food? Are you talking about lunch debt?
No, I'm talking about school fees.
What is a school fee?
What school did you go to?
I went to public school, and I did not have to pull my credit card out when I picked a new class for the next semester. Of course, there's tax money that goes into schools, especially property tax money from the local community.
No, I'm talking about straight from the parents' wallet.
Back in my day, I don't know if things changed, but you don't need to pull out your credit card or debit card to go to school.
Yeah, it has been that way for at least the last 25 years of my life. So
wait, you're telling me you pulled your credit card out to go $500 to go to biology class?
Yes, K through 12, you will spend at the minimum $500 to just get your kid into public school. Every year.
That is certainly strange. I can imagine if you're looking at some sort of research that shows the cost of education, they're probably factoring in different. My local school district. They're probably factoring in different things.
I opted to send him to private school for free. I found a program.
Well, I bet that for free. Yeah, well, that's good, but I don't know any public school that says you have to pay $500 to get into this school.
The one I personally didn't. Sure does.
Well, I don't know who you're probably. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not asking you to dox yourself, but that's a bizarre concept to me. I understand people put money into public schools. For example, when you buy lunch, when you go on a field trip, maybe you're in a program like debate, maybe you're in a program like the band, and you put money into there. But you don't have to pay money if you're just going in there to go to class. You might have to pay money for lunch, but not for class.
So the state of Ohio, I'll give you this much information. The state of Ohio, which is the state in which I reside, does require administration fees, participation fees every year. That is just the way it has always been in the state of Ohio. That is where I live. That is the way it's always been. So to say
maybe Ohio needs some reform. Maybe Ohio needs some reform. But from my experience in Florida, I didn't pay a single dollar to attend the class.
That is just the way it's always been. But not to get away from the point of what we're talking about here.
I searched public school. I searched this, looking into what school fees there are, and they're specific. This result is specifically listing off specifics. Like I was saying earlier, I didn't even have this pulled up, but they're bringing up school supplies, school lunch, special programs, school uniforms.
Nope.
And then fees, and then this one is saying fees for band instruments. Again, if you're in a program. And the schools might ask for voluntary donations, but I'm completely unaware of anybody having to pull out $500 just to go to biology. And some people are bringing up the tuition costs for community college. We're talking about K through 12, correct? We're not talking about college.
Before we got to K through 12, yes, because you were saying that from K through 12, it should be the same system in which you do not have to pull out a credit card just to attend basic education. And while that is grand and all, that is not the way things are.
That is not the way they have
been for a long time. But what
that is very much how it is.
when it comes to community college and going up to things like a bachelor's degree, and let's
Pretty
just say
pricey.
the community college near where I live, it is only $2,000 a semester.
Well, I can't speak to
All
your
the way up to
community
a
college,
bachelor's.
but again, we're not just talking about community college, though community college is part of this College for All program. We're also talking about public universities. So this is public institutions taking in public money already, and they are charging much higher prices than community college. Yet these are the places that you go for specific educations. For example, the community college in my area, you could get an associate's degree, and you might be able to get a bachelor's degree, I think specifically in like firefighting or whatever. But if you really want something higher or something in a different field, you have to go to one of the universities. And it's really in the universities where the costs add up.
Okay, so let's say that it's $7,000 a semester.
Adds up quite a bit.
You're going to get at least 80% of that already covered under Pell Grants and grants of that nature.
Well, no, not everybody's getting a Pell Grant.
Why not?
Not everybody qualifies for a Pell Grant.
There is a laundry list of grants and free money out there that it is available to anyone.
Yeah, but not everybody is getting a Pell Grant. You know, some grants are given to you based on like how well you did back in high school. Some grants are given to you based on whatever scholarship you applied for or whatever. But a lot of the scholarships, by the way, are also scams. But there are many people that do not just have grants coming.
Albeit a lot of those grants and a lot of that free money is based off, the parents' income. It is not absurd to think that if your parents make enough money that they can help you, and it is not solely up to the government.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people that go into debt, and the price of college has been going up. So yeah, you can be a person that maybe makes like $70,000 or something, but you can still struggle with the money to send your kid to school. And also, if something were to happen to you, and you need to put that money, say like in your health or whatever, then you can't pay for school. Then your kid goes to debt. There's a lot of situations that even middle class people can struggle with money, right? So, and I looked it up, because I'm curious about the average cost per semester. So, like you said, the average cost for in-state students is about $5,000, $7,000, but then for private universities, is about $11,000. And I'm curious where for out-of-state as well, that isn't pulled up, but when you're out-of-state, it's even more expensive. Because then you have to factor in getting a dorm too, and that's an expensive process.
That's your choice at that point. Out-of-state doesn't really factor in. That is your choice to move state.
Sure, but my point is that this whole college stuff is a very expensive process that a lot of people can find themselves drowning in debt afterwards.
And I'm just saying that until you get over where you were at a bachelor's degree, again, looping back to what we were originally talking about, getting over a bachelor's degree, that is the only time that the real debt starts. And the Education for All plan does not cover a lot of that money that is being indebted to U.S. citizens.
Well, so Bernie's plan covers public colleges and universities, so those community colleges and those universities as we've been talking about, HBCUs, trade schools as well. So, yeah. I mean, it covers a lot.
Up to what? Up to what degree?
My understanding is it's 4 years education.
4 years.
Yeah.
That doesn't make one single doctor in this country.
No, we were also talking about nurses, right?
You can start your nursing degree on 4 years.
Yeah.
But you have to have doctors to give
and
nurses training.
It would probably also be good though to be able to cover those 4 years. And let's say you want to go become a doctor. I maybe we could even expand it. I'd be down to expand it, especially for an industry like medicine.
For someone like me who's already shilling out so much money in taxes. I have not seen any kind of plan that has even caught my eye even slightly. Because I'll be honest with you, I'm not one of those households that makes over $100,000 a year. I am very much sub $70,000.
Yeah.
And I find myself under this past administration. I've I feel like I have been giving out money to the government hand over fist, and I can't catch a break any which way.
Well,
and
I mean, you've probably been getting. Well, we are under the Trump tax plan still, even under Biden. The Trump tax plan, I believe, lasted till either 2025 or 2026. So if you feel like your taxes have increased, we're under the previous administration's tax code.
But all I can say though is that everything was okay at least until
under Donald
these
Trump.
last 4 years.
I wouldn't say that. Under Donald Trump and under Joe Biden, we've had 60% of Americans. I've seen some numbers going up to 70% of Americans living paycheck to paycheck. You know, income inequality has gone up tremendously. Wages have been stagnant for many, many years before Trump or Biden, right? I don't think that regular Americans are doing well.
And I just don't see any plan that has been brought forward by specifically the Democratic Party that has specifically, targeted middle-class Americans to actually help them.
Yeah, increase access to education, increase access to healthcare, have an infrastructure plan, rebuild this country's broken
10 years from
infrastructure.
now. I'm worried about this week. I'm worried about getting paid this Friday.
Build back the factories, build back manufacturing in America. That's a good thing. And ultimately, the Biden administration did not do as much as I would want them to do, but they did make some progress, right? 800,000 new manufacturing jobs, the highest investment, public and private, into manufacturing construction. I'm not talking stocks, I'm talking about directly into construction that we've ever seen in this country's history, the highest it's been since World War II. And the issue is, I don't really know if a lot of these benefits are going to continue under Donald Trump if he goes a different economic direction. But if you want something done, you say, you want a plan done. I agree, I want a plan done. And my plan is to invest in America, embrace Keynesian economics, New Deal economics, like we saw in the 20th century, the middle of the 20th century, that saw the greatest expansion of the middle class we ever seen, and move away from neoliberalism, which has allowed for America to deindustrialize, which has allowed for the disparities between the rich and the poor to explode, that has allowed for union membership to go down. I'm simply saying we should go back to a time where we saw the middle class expanding, rather than what we've been seeing, which is the wealthy getting more and more money while the middle class is contracting. That's all I'm pushing for.
Right, and that's fine and all. I don't see the Democratic Party lining up with even your views. I just don't.
Yeah, I mean, in the Democratic Party, there's debate, but in the Republican Party, and that's the reason I'm a Democrat, is because while there's still establishment Democrats whom I don't like, there's a progressive faction, and there is genuine difference. Under Republicans, I mean, you can have politicians that dislike each other personally. Donald Trump and Liz Cheney have personal beef, and they strongly dislike each other, but Liz Cheney voted with Donald Trump 95% of the time, so it's just okay. The main divisions in the Republican Party at this moment are personality and aesthetic. Meanwhile, the divisions in the Democratic Party are policy. And I'd rather be in a place where there's an actual fight. Joe D said, thank you for the donation, $1.99. I appreciate that. He says, the politicians work for the lobbyists, Trump and Obama. Very true. Two sides of the same corrupt coin.
So you're saying that if we had Kamala in office right now, you're saying that she would have what policy would she be pushing through right now that would be positively impacting middle class Americans?
Yeah, I specifically like her housing policy where she says that she wanted to build 3 million new homes. That would obviously be government investments. That would be government investments into local governments, state governments. Maybe, hopefully, in my view, I would want to see more direct public, federally built buildings. You know what I mean? We can model after Austria. We can model after Japan. There's different things we can work on, but the main point was increasing housing supply, and I very much approve of that. So that's the big policy that she was pushing that I really fuck with.
You just said that
increasing housing supply
would be rolled into local government.
Yeah, I'm saying that the government would be investing into the construction of housing, likely in a multi-pronged approach. If, for example, a local government wanted to build a affordable housing home or apartments, hopefully they could get some of that money, right? The point is she wanted to increase housing supply, which is an amazing thing to discuss because with the housing issue, it is basic supply and demand. We have such high demand for housing, but not enough supply. One of the practical steps we do to actually improving the issue is increasing supply of housing. So that's a policy she was proposing that I like. But if she were president, and for example, she kept Lena Khan, you know who Lena Khan is from the FTC?
No, I don't pay attention to the FTC too much.
Yeah, Lena Khan is the chair of the FTC, and she's gotten praise from both Republicans and Democrats for cracking down on big tech and the monopolies, and actually trying to break them up. And she's done basic steps to protect consumers, like for example, making it easier to unsubscribe from certain programs. Let's say like a gym membership, it's easy to subscribe to, but they make you jump through hoops to unsubscribe. Basic consumer protection, while also actually going after the big corporations. If she kept Lena Khan, which Donald Trump has already fired, then that would be a great thing. If she kept a National Labor Relations Board that made it fair for unions to form.
Oh, that's right.
Made it fair
the FTC and the SEC for more leniency towards other currencies like crypto.
Who, Donald Trump? Yeah, Donald Trump is getting these. Donald Trump is definitely getting these consumer protection agencies. But yeah, a National Labor Relations Board that makes it easier to unionize or to strike without facing consequences, or taking steps to get rid of captive audience meetings and so on and so forth. That would be a good thing if she improved on Biden's manufacturing policy, like the CHIPS Act, which is more investment into American manufacturing. That would be great as well. So there was a lot of things that I liked that could potentially come from Kamala Harris that unfortunately I know Donald Trump is not really interested in those things.
So wouldn't it be more lucrative then, instead of going after and making more homes to be bought up by probably investors who are probably going to rent them out? I mean, isn't home ownership probably more important? So wouldn't setting regulations in place of not allowing investors to own hundreds of properties?
Oh, I 100% agree. 100% agree. I think that private equity needs to be completely out of the housing market, BlackRock and so on and so forth. I think it was actually New York. They had a surprising W where I think they're putting some limitations on private equity's ability to buy houses to rent it out. But yes, we're in 100% agreement there. Those guys need to go.
Yeah, I just hope that maybe in the future, myself, I can see more beneficial programs and more beneficial policy rolled out that actually mean something for the middle class. Because up until now, it's been, I haven't seen any change or any impact to myself. We can sit here and spout statistics and numbers all day long, but me myself, I have not seen any benefit or any change to my own personal situation over the entirety of the last not even last 8 years, last 12 years.
Yeah. I don't blame you, brother. I don't blame you because, I mean, we could just look at, like, I know you said we don't have to look at the statistics, but when we just look at the graphs, right? Wage growth used to be tied to productivity. So we used to be a country where if your company was profiting and the profits were going up, the CEO's pay was going up, your pay was going up too. But when we deindustrialized and became more of a finance, investors economy, then we saw productivity continue to go up pretty much the same trajectory. We saw CEO pay continue to go up a little higher than the previous trajectory, and we saw workers' wages stay stagnant. So yeah, people like us, regular folks, we can see like, oh, the economy's up at this point. The economy's up at this point. You know, we're really not feeling much of it though, right? So, but it's a long-term process to get back to a country where workers and regular people actually feel the benefits again. But I will say I do have something to attend soon, so I need to stop the debates right now. But I'll let the person that's been waiting talk for a moment. But I gotta let you go for now. But I appreciate the conversation. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, 916. I kept you waiting for a while, but I cannot go for very long, so we got to be quick with this. What's on your mind?
That is great. Anyways, I am a Democrat. I'm from California. My question to you is this. It's really easy. Do you think the Republicans are going to try and blame Democrats when Trump goes into office and puts in his Project 2025 and starts cutting Social Security and Medicaid and housing, do you think they're really going to come and try and blame the Democrats for what Trump is doing? Or even like Clarence Thomas, he's already said he wants to revisit to see if they can make it illegal to be gay. He wants to see if they can be prosecuted for being gay. Or he wants to see if they can change the interracial marriage. Well, you can't marry outside of your race. Do you think they're actually going to come back and try and blame Democrats for all of that? I'm curious.
Well, first of all, I'm just going to say thank you, Jody, for another $1.99. He says Republican, Democrats want sunset to Social Security. But to respond to your question, Republicans have, if they have a talent, they have an amazing talent for spin. You know what I mean? And they love to, on one hand, take credit for the good things Democrats do. So let's say there's stimulus. Let's say there's an infrastructure plan and a new bridge is built. The Republicans will always be at the front of the parade of the new bridge built by federal money coming from a Democrat, and they might have voted against the bill, but they'll take credit for the bill. When it comes to trying, when it comes to trying to avoid problems or avoid criticism, they are more than willing to do that. So, for example, they will blame Democrats for a forest fire starting and getting bad, but then they will not talk about climate change. They will not talk about the power of the oil industry or the coal industry, right? So they'll find a way to blame us for whatever they do. They'll do the mass deportations. They'll deport 40% of the agriculture industry. Then food prices are going to go up, and they're going to say, well, you know, if this is somehow Joe Biden's fault, it's not my fault. I'm the best, and he's the worst, so it's on them. you know what I'm saying?
And what this means that all the Republicans that I've seen on chat, they sit here and say the border never got closed. But what they will put their brains to thinking is on day one, Biden put in a border bill to close the border, and Republicans said no. Then he put in a second border bill, and Republicans, because of Trump, again, they said no. And then they went on Fox News and everywhere else and said the borders are wide open. They're open because you refuse to close them, but now you want to blame the Democrats because the borders are open, but you're not doing your job to close them. How is that fair?
The funny thing is when they talk about the border, they're like, wow, look at this increased number of encounters. And then you ask them, okay, who's doing the encounters? Border Patrol? Yeah. And you're going to say, okay, well, if Border Patrol is doing the encounters, then do we even really have an open border? Or do we have people actively trying to stop illegal immigration at the border? And it's like, no, well, it's an open border because Joe Biden's in charge. they actually think, the funny thing is, yes, there was a spike after COVID lockdowns were lifted and activity in all fields of life kind of blew up, but then it went down. It's down like 98%. And it's pretty much at a similar level to how illegal immigration was during Donald Trump. But they genuinely believe that there was no illegal immigration under Donald Trump, which is hilarious, honestly. It's hilarious.
What do you think they're going to do? How do you think Republicans are going to respond when Donald Trump decides to not only deport illegal immigrants, he's also going to deport those citizens that were born to illegal immigrants? He's already said he's deporting everybody.
Yep.
How do you think they're going to handle that?
It's an interesting question. You know, you have Stephen Miller. He's talking about denaturalizing people, which is going to legal immigrants and taking away their legal status. I don't know how he's going to go about that. And Donald Trump's also talking about getting rid of birthright citizenship. Now, that's a constitutional right. If you're born in America, you're an American. You have to change the Constitution. Now, both of these things, you would say, under the American system, this stuff can't work. The thing is, they genuinely don't care about the American system, and they would love to tear it up and just do whatever they want to do. And they're willing to break the rules. You see, the problem with Democrats is we're so focused on the rules. We're so focused on institutions. Meanwhile, the people we're competing with, they're playing a different game. They're not playing chess. They're boxing you. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's one of the struggles, is how do we maintain sort of just like a constitution when all these people want to do attacks on the Constitution. But I think it's gonna be tough, and I gotta leave soon just because I got something at 7:00. But it's gonna be a tough 4 years. But
Yeah.
by 2026, the silver lining is they're probably gonna fuck up so bad that we're probably gonna have pretty good chances in 2026 and 2028. But any final comments you want to make?
So do you think the Republicans are actually going to regret this fuck around and find out phase that they're going to end up going through?
I think that there are people that voted Republican, not for a love of Donald Trump, but for they just didn't like the situation, so they were like, let me go with the alternative. And there's a lot of Democrats that voted for Joe Biden that weren't excited this year and didn't show up. I think what's going to happen is in 2026 and 2028, we're going to see the fuck-ups of Donald Trump. We're going to see the economic turmoil caused by tariffs and mass deportation potentially, and his tax plan, which will raise taxes on 95% of earners. And in that situation, people will, like, there are people that are MAGA that are in the cult. They love Donald Trump no matter what. They're going to vote for Republicans. They're not going to, or maybe some of those people will just get out of politics when Donald Trump isn't running, right? But the Republicans in 2028 are going to have to deal with the mess that Donald Trump is going to leave, and they're also going to have to deal with having a new guy as their face that lacks the charisma, that lacks the skill, and that lacks the cult. And I think that, if they really mess up the economy big time, a lot of those Trump voters are going to go back to Democrats, and a lot of those inactive Democrats are going to come back, and it's going to be a big victory. But we got to work to that victory, and there's a lot of things to build. But 916 area code, I appreciate your time. It was a great conversation, but I got to go now. Thank you for calling in. Thank you for waiting.
Thank you. Thank you. You have a great day.
You too. Don't forget to subscribe.
I did already.
Oh, thank you. All right, I very much appreciate that.
Okay.
All right.
I love your channel. Bye.
Thank you. See you later. With that, folks, I have to go right now because I have a meeting in 3 minutes. So I'm going to exit the TikTok stream first. Right now. TikTok stream is done. I find it funny on the TikTok stream. My TikTok streams don't really do as well as the YouTube streams. And there are some MAGA people obviously trying to roast and all that stuff. And they're like, oh my gosh, you have such a small stream. But shout out to the YouTube stream. I think we had a peak. I don't know what our peak was, but I saw like 220 at some point. We had 148, which makes you, if you're in these numbers, you are in the top 1% of streamers when it comes to viewership. So I appreciate you. I appreciate the fans, and I appreciate the haters, because the haters are really you're like the coal and the flame coming together. For sure, Flawed said, take my call, would love to chat. I'm sorry, I can't. I gotta go now, but I appreciate you. Jody says, 199. We need a third party. Listen, I think if we had a ranked choice voting, if we had a bit more democracy, maybe even a parliamentary system, definitely third parties can work. And I think especially on the local level, sure, bring in the third parties. But nationally, it might be a little hard for third parties. And we got 20,000 views for this stream, guys. 20,000 total views. So shout out to you all. I appreciate you. Ross says, thanks. I appreciate you too. McGruff says, the red shirt, yellow star, says it all. This is a Steven Universe shirt. This is the shirt that Steven Universe wore. I got it like many years ago. I'm wearing it because I need to wear a shirt. This is not a Vietnam flag shirt. But yes, I appreciate your time, folks, but I'm going to go now.